terrorist attacks of 9/11 that struck at the heart of the USA in 2001 created shockwaves throughout the world. The US declared war in Afghanistan to wipe out the terrorists. From the outset, Pakistan was involved in the war against terror as a frontline state, providing airports and military bases for NATO forces operating in and against Afghanistan. Under the security cover of the government, hundreds of trucks carrying food, medicines, and fuel reached NATO troops via Chaman and the Khyber Pass on a daily basis. When Operation Enduring Freedom began, waves of militants from Afghanistan crossed over to Pakistan from mountain routes, straining the socio-political structure of the northern areas, including the federally administered tribal areas.
Since then, Pakistan has witnessed escalating extremism and terrorist violence throughout the country. With the intensification of the war, NATO supply convoys have been targeted more than ever, while law enforcing agencies in Pakistan have suffered a continuous backlash from the militants. The spate of suicide bombings unleashed by the militants and their attempts to subjugate peaceful areas like the Swat Valley led to decisive action by the Pakistan Army, which successfully damaged the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, the TTP, and diluted their capacity to spread in the tribal areas.
Incidents of targeting girls' schools grew in 2007 and 8, when 119 educational institutions were destroyed by the extremists. In July 2007, the government was forced to attack their stronghold. As military operations in Swat escalated, more than 300,000 inhabitants were forced to flee their homes in search of safety. The government set up 6 relief camps to provide them with shelter, food, and education for the children.
With every major operation against the militants, there have been massive dislocations of people. To get them back in their homes after clearing the area from militants has been a successful but expensive achievement of the government. The peaceful cities of Pakistan became the target of militant backlash. The Marriott in Islamabad was attacked twice in 2008 and 2009, while the Pearl Continental in Peshawar was destroyed by the militants in June 2009. Suicide bomb attacks were carried out in Meena Bazar, Peshawar, Moon Market in Lahore, and Bolton Market in Karachi, killing hundreds of people.
Hotel occupancies from 80% regularly right throughout the last few years have gone to an average of 30%. It's impossible to survive.
During the 9 years that Pakistan has been an ally of the coalition forces, it has been the victim of about 3,000 terrorist attacks, including more than 1,000 shootouts, 640 bomb blasts, 455 rocket attacks, and 150 suicide attacks. To date, Pakistani casualties have been more than 30,600, while coalition casualties were also substantial. As a result of reprisals by the militants, business activities slowed down as the safety of factory personnel and stores became a major concern of the management. The response to terrorist reprisals took a heavy toll on the national budget, and the government has been forced to cut back funding of public sector development projects. Out of 421 billion rupees allocated for PSDP 2009-2010, only 50% were released as funds were diverted to immediate security-related expenditure. The development activities are drastically affected and the essential social and economic projects are underfunded.
The raising of the Mangla Dam to increase its capacity was put in abeyance, while cost overruns and economic losses of Bhasha Dam due to delays have been estimated at 100 billion rupees per annum. The diversion of resources from infrastructure has resulted in acute energy shortages in the country. Power cuts and increased costs of energy has resulted in higher costs of production, uncompetitiveness, and closures. The prevailing environment of insecurity has reduced foreign and direct investments and destabilized the capital markets. The effect on industrial growth has been devastating. Large-scale manufacturing that had recorded a growth of 19.9% in 2004-2005 plummeted to minus 8.2% in 2008-2009.
There has been a major disconnect between buyers and suppliers, as negative travel advisories have been issued by almost all importing countries. Many suppliers are forced to go abroad frequently, and here they again face restrictions regarding issuance of visas.
Our buyers have stopped coming. There are negative travel advisories. Most of the buying houses which were operating in Pakistan, 80% have closed down.
The SME sector has been the worst hit in this respect, as they cannot divert their precarious profit margins to travels and marketing costs.
The people from other countries, they have stopped coming here. No chemical supplier, no machinery supplier, no research and R&D we are doing these days. So this has caused a technological gap to our industry.
Due to these problems, Pakistan is at a disadvantage compared to its competitors in the region which enjoy trade concessions in EU market.
This is not because of religion. I think we are not on the priority list. If Bangladesh can be on priority list, we should be on the priority list. Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Sikkim, everybody else enjoys the privilege. If you keep on depriving people, they will just start fighting. So the policymakers, the strategists definitely know that this is the solution.
The buyers are thinking because of this that there is a country risk in Pakistan. So if there's a country risk, we will only buy from you if we cannot buy from any other country. So if they cannot buy from Bangladesh or India or China, then they will come to Pakistan.
As buyers' visits become more infrequent, their confidence in Pakistani suppliers' ability to deliver on time is eroded. Terrorist strikes slow down the movement of goods because of road blockages and port congestion. Added to that is the shortage of containers due to NATO supplies movement. Many suppliers are forced to airlift their consignments at a very heavy cost. The slowdown in exports has a direct implication for rising levels of unemployment in the youth. The textile sector is the largest employer, accounting for 37% of employment in the formal sector. With a large number of garment factories closing down, women working in these units have lost about 300,000 jobs. According to an estimate, poverty has grown from 17% in 2006 to more than 29% in 2009 in Pakistan, and 25 million additional people are living below the poverty line. Increasing poverty is creating conditions for radicalization of unemployed youth in the country. Pakistan's role in war on terror has increased the cost on trade, making its exports uncompetitive in the global market. Pakistan seeks trade concessions not only to stem rising unemployment, but also to stabilize the society.
But the issue I want to focus on, which I think is absolutely central to win this war against terror, is the question of creating productive, remunerative, and decent jobs for young people in Pakistan. People in Europe are used to active labor market policies, helping young people find jobs. And I think that's an area where the EU could be of immense help to Pakistanis.
The present democratic government has provided the much-needed legitimacy to the war on terror, but the consensus remains fragile. Success in the war against terror depends not only on defense capabilities, but also in terms of political, social, and economic strength, which would determine Pakistan's resolve against terrorism. The United States introduced the Reconstruction Opportunity Zones concept in 2006 to create employment opportunities in NWFP, Balochistan, and earthquake-affected areas of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. The products made there would have duty-free access to the U.S. market. The U.S. House of Representatives has already passed the bill and the legislation is now pending in the U.S. Senate. The ROZ's areas have the worst human development indicators and gender disparity in the country.
This initiative gives a ray of hope to the disadvantaged segments of population, but only if they are implemented swiftly and effectively. The ROZs can bring social stability and check the rising trends of extremism. Pakistan is still in desperate need to have concessions to regain its market share in the EU and US markets. Pakistan's first priority is trade opportunity to compensate for the increase in cost of doing business. The leadership of Pakistan has made this priority. The President of Pakistan, while addressing the joint session of the Parliament, said,
"Our focus has been and will remain trade and not aid.